All right, good morning, everybody. It's Juventus Matchday, and we got Luca, Lewis, and a special guest, Felix, joining us today. How's everybody doing today?
Good,
I'm
Ready
good.
good.
for this big one? Juve versus Roma today? Lewis, how you
Yeah,
doing,
I'm
man?
I'm ex- I'm excited, dude. I'm ready for the game. We got some Luca Lou time. Felix is joining in. It's a great morning.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Everybody's rocking the kits. Luca, of course, with the Striped Hearts apparel. By the way, new drop today from those guys, our sponsor, and free shipping on orders over $120. So everybody take advantage of the free shipping now. Omar joining us. Morning, you beauties. Guys, it's good to have Juve back. I was done with that international break quite quickly, especially after the Azzurri's first result there, but it's good to have Juve back. We're going to go through some of the news that took place that caused quite a stir in discussions surrounding Juventus. And then we'll get to Roma and Juve and really hone in on there. All right. So let's start off with this bit of news that, man, you had Juventini like ripping at each other for the week. And that's Federico Bernardeschi, and this potential renewal coming at 2.5 million rather than the 4 million that he's currently on. And I at 2.5 million, I don't actually really have a problem, but a lot of Juventini did and just said no, not even worth 2.5 million euro. What better topic to start off with? We'll get our special guest Felix honing in with his thoughts on Bernardeschi. Is he even worth keeping around at 2.5? What do you think, Felix?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. First time in the podcast. Excited to be here. So thank you guys. As far as Bernardeschi goes, well, it's mixed feelings. He does offer some, reliability as far as health. The guy can play multiple positions. Um, there's some potential there. Um, there's always some thought on, hey, this guy could be a big deal or not. But in that side of things, I think he's got that in favor. Then again, for 2.5 million, you probably get a youngster who could, perform better, but it's probably not going to have the same reliability as he has as far as health and playing multiple positions. But it's a hard question. But I'll give it a shot. Uh, he's young, he's healthy, he plays multiple positions, so I don't see a problem for 2.5.
Yeah, and I feel the same way. And again, if we're thinking about youngsters, which will be coming in, I have no issue with that. But the bigger picture I see when I think about this, and it's Bernardeschi at 2.5, is that right now Rugani and DeCilio both make more than that amount. Um, and we have some cleanup to do. And if you are going to do that cleanup, that would open the door for some youngsters. And Bernardeschi, again, he can play a lot of different positions and good cover, and he's fit. So yeah, for me, but Lou Bernardeschi at 2.5.
Um, I'm okay with it. I think that at 2.5 he's making peanuts. I just I'll understand what the big problem is. Bernardeschi, he's good in the locker room. He's not a problem. He doesn't complain about his play time. Allegri seems to depend on him. It covers a lot of holes, and every club has a utility player, and he's ours. So I don't get the whole outrage behind it.
Yeah, I really don't either. Luca.
I mean, Lou said it perfectly. I have absolutely nothing to add. The fact that people are up in arms about 2.5, especially when it's Bernardeschi who's actually, performing this season. It's like you said, Al. I mean, you got guys like Rugani and MDS who are probably making more. Then you could make an argument. But for Bernardeschi, who's a great utility, I don't even understand why there was an argument.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we had a bunch of rumors going around and it was basically on players that could potentially join Juventus when we're talking about January. Now, I still think it's going to be probably nobody that we see coming in. Like Vlahovic would be incredible to get in January. I don't see it happening. Tchouaméni is picking up steam. Van de Beek is picking up steam. And my question to you guys would be, if you were going to go with somebody, do you think this striker is even a necessity come January, or is it midfielder? Is Tchouaméni the right profile, or is Van de Beek closer to the right profile of what we need like the soonest? Luca, we'll start you and go around the horn here.
Well, during the summer, I was myself and I think Omar as well. We were one of the first two to bring up Van de Beek because of what was happening at United. You know, the fact that he was riding the bench and you saw it. It was in the media that he was not happy. So already all this anger tells you right away player wants out, more or less. And a guy of his talents, like I remember him with De Ligt at that Ajax team. That was, I mean, granted, it was a team built on unity. It wasn't just one player. So I'm not going to say our team is going to change with him, but he'll be happier because he'll have someone from the old days, another national team player with him alongside De Ligt. So they'll have a little bit of a connection there. And I think for what financially we could afford, I think out there possibilities of what we have, I think he is at this moment the best option. I don't think maybe he's the best complete option out there. I think there might be other players, but financially speaking, in January on loan, I don't think there's anybody else.
There you go, Lou.
I think that you need both Tchouaméni and Van der Beek. Obviously, you can't get them both in January. I think that you need Van der Beek slightly more at the moment because Van der Beek, he has a lot of versatility going forward, and Juve are missing a midfielder that can get into the box and score goals. Tchouaméni, I mean, he's a great player. He's one of my favorite young players in the world right now. But, Bentancur can kind of play that role temporarily. But Van der Beek, I think, is who you need. And he is also he's an easier option because he's on loan with an option to buy, rumored. So, if it doesn't work out, Juventus don't have to take it up. So I just think that's more realistic.
Yeah. And we should count the Rovella notes that are coming in. We've got our first Rovella mention. Of course, it's Cliff. But he's honestly, it's good to look out for. And I'd be shocked if he doesn't come back into the fold next season.
Yeah. I mean, you guys know Anthony, who's always on the podcast, is a big Rovella fan. So
he's here. But no, he's putting in solid performances. And I mean, that's something to keep in the back pocket too. So maybe instead of a few moves at midfield, you pull in one, and then you could spread it out because we're still from all the signs I see, Luca Pellegrini is just not probably going to pan out at Juve. They're already talking about moving him in January, which is shocking to me that you're going to do it at that point. Only Sandro there, of course, Danilo that could cover, but De Sciglio is always around, as De Sciglio is. But let's get Felix's thoughts on the midfield and out of the targets there, Van de Beek and Tchouaméni, and get his thoughts.
Yeah, so I think for the midfield, there's a couple of options. Obviously, Van de Beek would be the most obvious one. Tchouaméni would be probably really hard to get in January. But one thing is, Tchouaméni is very similar to Locatelli in how they play. So the option would be there to basically put Tchouaméni as a holding midfielder or Vista maybe, and maybe put Locatelli more forward. Tchouaméni doesn't have any goals in him. So I think Van de Beek would probably be the wiser option in the short term as far as having a midfielder that can score, can populate the area, can maybe connect the midfield with the attack. So Vlahovic, he's not going to get there in January. I don't think we need him anyways. We need to work with what we have. A lot of our problems have come because we signed players out of nowhere. Hey, just an impact buy, and and then we don't know where to put them, and they don't fit the game, and then we have to sell them, and when we have to get rid of them, then we have issues getting rid of them. So.
Yeah, all that to consider for sure. I mean, honestly, I like all the guys we're kind of linked with, to be honest, and that's a positive side. The only one that was a steady link that didn't excite me whatsoever was Icardi. And yesterday, of course, as a I love touching on the Icardi Wanda stuff. Did she call herself a bitch?
Sort of.
It was kind of
Yeah.
worded that way, was it not?
Yeah.
The post was obviously went viral quite quickly. Apparently unfollowing Moro, whatnot. Who knows what's going on with those two? They're just probably playing games, trying to get back in some type of spotlight as people forget about them, as they should. But Icardi at Juve. Let's start this one with Lou. Is there any way, if he rids himself of Wanda, then are you okay with it?
No, absolutely not. Listen, I think Icardi's a good player, but he is such a distraction off the field. You know, all that's going to happen is Icardi's going to come back and he's going to hook up with Paulo's partner, and it's going to be game over again. You know, like I'm kidding, but you know, realistically, Icardi is a good player. I just think that he's more of an off the field distraction. It's not even just like, you know, what he's done in his personal life, like in the locker room. I mean, he was getting fights with his teammates at Inter, at Sampdoria. Like it's all about him, right? And it's just, he seems like an off the field distraction. Maybe he's matured in PSG because he's around great players, but it's a no for me for now.
Yeah. Felix, Icardi, any way you take him at Juve?
Well, so the question is, maybe they split, you know, Wanda and Mauro, but isn't she his agent anyways? I think
What's that? Sorry, she is his agent. Yeah.
So.
Oh boy.
I don't know. I mean, she's gonna still be around. So, and even if she's around and she's not around, I don't think we need that kind of player in there.
Yeah. What a tangled web, Mr. Icardi weaves there.
I have a conspiracy theory about this, Al. I think
we love conspiracy theories.
Yeah. So, of course, the American is the one who mentions this, but I think that Wanda was referring to Messi's wife last night, and she's mad that he turned him down. He turned her down. You know, she's always looking for like the next thing. So that's what I think.
Anthony's 100% in on Icardi. For me, we've got one of the guys that took a lot of time from him at PSG. There's no time to waste with Icardi. Luca, you taking Moro back? Probably only if he stays with Wanda.
Actually, it's the opposite. Prior to like the whole Vlahovic thing and him not renewing with Fiorentina, we needed a proper striker, and I always said it: if Wanda's not there, bring him. I couldn't care less what he's like. He performs on the pitch, especially now that they're apparently on the split. I'm all for it, but again, there's going to be everyone up in arms saying Vlahovic is available. Why don't we jump on him? So I don't know anymore. I really don't know.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. It's kind of a mix here on the live chat here. You got some that are saying, well, I don't even know if it's that much of a split. No, it's pretty much Anthony on his own at 100% in for Icardi, and everybody else not really into it. And that's okay. Anthony likes it that way. Yeah, let's get to the big match. Roma versus Juventus. We're going to talk a little bit about the history of this matchup in a little bit of trivia. So we'll test you guys. Text Felix, Luca, and Lou right now and see if they can nail some of these. Okay. 196 official matches between these clubs. Okay. How many wins out of those 196 went to Juventus?
Ooh. 110.
110 coming from Lou. Felix, what do you think? How many wins here for Juve?
So I kind of cheated on that one. I think I saw something on Twitter earlier. So I'm gonna say between nine. I'm gonna say 9.
90? Okay. Luca, what are you throwing out there?
I was gonna go like 96.
Holy smokes. Close. 93.
Oh,
93.
Oh no!
55 ending in draws. Okay. Del Piero is amongst the leader for goal scorers in the history of this fixture. How many goals puts him at the top?
ooh.
Ooh.
I'm gonna guess 9.
9 from Lou. Luca, what are you feeling?
11.
11, Felix.
So I want to say 13 goals.
How much, sorry?
13.
13. He nailed it.
Oh,
13
oh.
goals
Out
for
of
Del
boy.
Piero. We had some guesses in there of 15, 17, 14, all very, very close. 13 goals. Who is the only Roma player in the top 5?
Oh, has to be Totti.
Yeah,
Has to
probably Totti.
Yeah.
Has to be Totti.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Chelsea.
It's actually Mexes. Just kidding. Yeah.
Oh, jeez, I almost had a stroke.
No, it's Totti. It's
Yeah.
Totti. So Totti's got 10. Who is the Juventino that he's tied with at 10?
It's
And
Roma.
this one is, let's say it's a legend, so that we can go further back here.
Further back? I was
I'm
gonna say
gonna
Tevez, but no.
Yeah, no, it will. I'll give you guys that one. That it's going to be further back. And myself being from Canada, this particular player left for Canada a ways back.
Ah, you gave it away there.
Legend that came in and played at Toronto towards the end of his career.
Ah, you really gave it away.
Yeah.
Ah, fuck. Who said Trezeguet? No.
It's Giovinco,
Giovinco.
isn't it?
No, man.
I'm
Legend.
kidding.
Way
I'm kidding.
Max Sortolano helping you guys out with Roberto Bettega.
What?
Bettega. Bettega finished up in Toronto.
Stop.
I didn't know that about Bettega.
I did not know that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
So there you have it. The last time we played them, Juventus won 2-0. Who was responsible for the second goal? Juve in a 2-0 win.
Oh, Kuliszewski.
No. Felix, did you have a guess?
Ronaldo.
Oh, I think Ronaldo was the
That's a safe-
first goal, not the
That's a
second,
safe
though.
bet. Why do I want to say
It
Rabiot?
was probably an own goal or something, I think.
And there you have it. The Ibanez own goal was
Yeah,
the
but
second one. So
Didn't
there you go.
Kuliszewski whip the cross in that hit off of him?
No.
Yeah, but still, it's
Yeah,
no
I think.
goal.
I was close.
I'll give it to you. You're
Is
close.
it bad? Is it bad
Coach
that
doesn't
last
get
season?
the points, though.
Last season is just a blur to me. Like, it
No,
was
that's a good thing, Luca.
Okay, so we got RB Comps coming in here with updates on Morata. Let's get to the goods, okay? Getting into this one as we get close. So, Delict, we found out that Delict has a slight muscle strain. Nothing serious, but it's going to take him out of the lineup. Morata has been summoned. So, whether or not he's there out of the gate, I think he probably will. To be honest, I think he's potentially going to be starting here. It's tough to say with Allegri. He's really like throwing you for a loop every match with what he's saying. And I don't really know. I think it's 50-50 on Morata. It's interesting that Morata ended up being late October for expected return, and now he's surpassed Dybala. So that's a little frustrating. So Dybala's taken much longer to get fit. We're gonna probably see. Well, we are gonna see Chiellini and Bonucci. It'll be Chiellini and Bonucci partnership. Danilo's gonna be on the right side. DeCilio or Sandro is up in the air right now. That could go either way on the left side. That's what we know so far. Arthur and Ramsey are both in the squad. Okay, so yeah, tough one. I've seen a few projections, some that had a 4-2-3-1 with Bernardeschi in behind, Keane up top. You got Chiesa on one wing, Quadrado on the other. I actually really, really like that. Probably still going to see our 4-4-2, but guys, as we get into this one of the questions that was brought up are, with this 4-4-2, a lot of fans feel like we're catering to Dybala and just getting him in a comfortable situation, because it does kind of change up in a hybrid. But 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3, are we better in a 4-3-3 to go against Roma? What do you guys think? Let's kick it off with Luca or Lou here.
I think the 4-4-2 is okay. I think the 4-4-2 traditionally it's a safe formation, right? It's something that you can tinker with a little bit. It's supposed to offer a little bit more protection. I think that Max knows that there's some holes in this team, and he has to rejuvenate a lot of it. And I think that's why we've seen so much of the 4-4-2, is because it's just a safe way of setting up the team until he figures out, who's his best 12 to 15. As you mentioned now, like, it does tinker. It changes a lot. For this match specifically, though, I think the 4-4-2 is useful because what we've seen from it, it's very defensive and it's very counterattacking. And if you watch the Rome derby from a couple of weeks ago, Roma on the counterattack or defending the counterattack were a disaster. Yeah. And so I think, when you're talking about the projections with Bernardeschi in the hole, I think we might end up even seeing him out wide as the match goes on, and Chiesa kind of running through the middle a lot more just to break on that counterattack.
And that's one of the main things. If you watch Roma and whatnot, they've got a couple tendencies. Obviously, they play a 4-2-3-1. So naturally, they're pushing a lot. Pellegrini, Zaniolo, Abraham, out on the other flank, Mkhitaryan as well. Even Veretout, who's one of the two pivots, gets very much involved in the attack. So they open themselves up to that. But if you break their lines in behind those guys, you need somebody in that space. So if we're going to go with Keane and Chiesa in there, one of those guys has to be dropping a bit or just finding those lines there. If you keep Keane up, then it ends up having to be Chiesa. It'll be interesting because we've never seen Chiesa truly play that way. You know what I mean? And just trying to find those lines in behind there is so it's kind of interesting. Felix, what do you think about formation lining up against Roma?
So kind of that believes in Allegri. I kind of trust his judgment in this one. I'm not too worried about the formation. I'm more worried about who's going to be in the midfield. I think that's what's going to tell if we're going to be, defending for 2/3 of the time. I think there's where we're either going to lose or win the game, unless Allegri comes up with some ideas where we can score early and then just kind of hold back a little bit. I'm generally concerned about the midfield. Not worried about the front. I think we always find a way to score, but if we're losing the ball in midfield, being careless, and we get counterattacks after counterattack, I think that's where the problem lies for us this time.
Is in the midfield. Yeah. Well, it's slated to be Quadrado, Bentancur, Locatelli, and Bernardeschi across the middle, potentially, if it goes 4-4-2. Honestly, I feel fine with that personally. The Bernardeschi thing and Quadrado on the sides gives you a lot of versatility, gives you that ability to turn and counter them as well, which is going to be huge against Roma because we know how much they like to send numbers forward. Luca, what are you thinking? Felix has a good point about not so much the setup information, but the choice, player choice. Your thoughts on lining up against Roma?
Again, our problem today is that we're handicapped due to a lot of injuries. I mean, like you said, Al, you think Morata's going to start. I really don't want to consider him in this game at all. I think if he gets minutes, it's at the dying end just to save. But like forward wise, I think you're gonna like Felix said, you really have to depend on a good amount of utility, flexible players here. Like you said, like Bernardeschi and Cuadrado, who could basically play that winger role, but also that midfield role if they need. So having them on the flanks in this 4-4-2, almost you can easily pivot to a 4-3-3 or even to a 3-5-2 in a sense when we're attacking, especially if Danilo's in there. So I think the formation has absolutely nothing to do with it because we know Max will play with it. He's going to tinker throughout the game and adjust. But I think it just depends on the players and what positions they can move around in and how much he can really adjust throughout the game and how much these guys are willing to give. Because I think this is going to be a very physically demanding game. So guys like Bernardeschi and Cuadrado who could go the distance, you know, and they give it for 90 minutes. Even Chiesa, like I'm expecting big games from these guys. So I'm really on board with Felix here. I think it's very much the players and not the formation.
Yeah, I'd have to agree as well. And really, honestly, that's it's kind of how it is with Allegri in general. He's always had this ability to just adapt his setups and whatnot, and it's more roles. We've talked about that a lot this season. That it's become just players and roles as much as it is the actual setup and the formation. I'm going to bring up a little picture here because Roma has a couple tendencies defensively that we're going to have to, and again, getting into player roles and who's going to have to do what here. If we look at one of their tendencies, they collapse so fast. And even if they're getting countered and whatnot, at the back here, they collapse so hard and sometimes so often. And you get a lot of this when you watch Roma play, where the top of the area is just like vacant. And we can hurt them with some outside shots again if the personnel's right. Locatelli being the one that he needs to be the one that gets the freedom to kind of support our attack and get up there and get some shots. So all of a sudden we know Bentancur and some struggles sitting at the back and whatnot. But man, Roma does this quite often. And again, because of the numbers that they put forward, you get a lot of this where they just drop back and mids aren't in positions where they need to be. Sometimes they collapse to the flank so much in trying to defend that, yeah, you get opportunities quite a bit to shift around like that. So can we free up Locatelli enough to get support there in the attack? Because against Torino, he scored that beauty to win it for Juventus, but that was during a full press late in the game, trying to get after it. Right, we need to kind of free them up earlier. So might be asking a bit more of some of the other guys. But Luca, what do you think here?
I'm gonna be very hopeful here. I'm really hoping to see Artur get some minutes in this game, especially in the end, around the third, like maybe the 65, 70. Tired legs, Roma, like they're a very energetic team, and like I said, it's gonna be a physical game. So by the time we get to that point, I think they're gonna be bringing on some random subs because they also have a lot of injuries. So I think their subs are gonna be subpar in the sense that we could take it to them at that point. And if Artur comes on and offers a little bit more for Locatelli to go up, I think that would be very interesting to see. But then again, he's still coming back into form. He's still new to like playing with Locatelli, so I'm not too hopeful. But I'm really crossing my fingers. I really want to see that today. And if we could, I think it'd be a good like transition for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and I mean it's tough as far as injuries go for them. Abraham, I don't expect to miss, even though he's got nagging heel issue. We know about Spinazzola gone. Chris Smalling's out for them. For us, Morata has been summoned. De Ligt out. Dybala out. Rabiot, COVID, obviously. But good point with Ramsey. We just don't know. Again, there's some question marks there because we don't know how many minutes like Arthur can actually give you. I don't know. I'd love to see him in because I think that's the key to unlocking Locatelli. Do you agree with that, Felix?
Yeah, I think so, and I do agree with Luca here. He probably doesn't have the whole 90 minutes with him. So the other point I see is, if we want Locatelli to be up at front, trying to, score with those runs and stuff like that, I think if you pair him with Bentancur, I think that is a possibility because Bentancur protects him a lot. Now,
Yeah.
Bentancur has a tendency of getting yellow cards early on, so that's gonna be a huge weight there because if, let's say, Bentancur picks up a yellow card in the 20th minute, then he won't be able to protect in that defensive phase as good as he does. So I think that's key. Bentancur can just clean game, which is sometimes unlikely, but if he can do that, I think Roto can drive to the front. And then again, if Artur has some more than, let's say he's got 30 minutes in him, I think that could work too.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Lou, what are your thoughts?
I think that this game it's a lot like the one we played in this fixture last year at home, where I think that Allegri is going to try and suck them in, counter, and hope for like a 1-2-0 win. I think that one of the most important things for Juve is stopping Lorenzo Pellegrini. Their 4-2-3-1. Tammy Abraham being the man who kind of like goes around, he distributes very well, right? As the number 9, he's the focal point. But after that, Lorenzo Pellegrini, Zaniolo, Mkhitaryan they move around a lot and they get in really good positions, and it's kind of flawless movement. So the big thing for the back four, specifically Chiellini and Bonucci, is making sure that they get those guys, marked up, especially Lorenzo Pellegrini. He's always popping up in very good areas with the ball. And I think that's going to be a hard thing for Locatelli today because, some of that's going to fall on him to track back and mark that number 10. I think that as far as the Arthur debate goes, I think that Arthur, he's a talented player, right? Like we know that he's a really good player. He's not necessarily reliable yet. I mean, he has some issues, and he's had this in the past with fitness. I think his overall game needs some work. Like, he's good in the hold up, he's good on the ball, but he doesn't really he's not good at forward passing, right? He doesn't really have a lot of creative attributes, to put it in good words. I think that's something that they're going to need going forward because all three of these midfielders need to play a part in it. And I think when you bring Arthur in as well, that Rabiot role down the left changes because now it's not necessarily a midfielder that has to get into the box and score goals or get out wide. Now you're kind of playing with a traditional 3-man midfield. So it's going to be interesting to see how that changes and what Max does. I'm kind of curious by it.
I would, and again, potentially a blessing in disguise, in my personal opinion, with the Rabiot situation, because there's no doubt in my mind, if available, Max would play him. And I think against this Roma side, you want the versatility of somebody that can actually counterpunch them in that spot. I've found it so awkward using him as this outside mid, to be honest. It works some of the times against certain teams, but I'd rather have someone with a bit more attacking prowess. And again, it's a bit of a hybrid scenario. Asking Rabiot for this offensive prowess to come is strange for me. It's nothing against him as a midfielder or anything like that, but I think Max is going to the well for something that's just not going to come, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that that specific role, Juventus is screaming for a player like that, and I think Max knows that he doesn't have a player like that. So he's looking at his midfield and goes, "Who's the guy here that could give you the most goals?" There's two players he mentions all the time. He talks about Rabiot and he talks about McKennie. And McKennie is out of form, and his confidence is lacking a little bit. But that should be his role, right? And he hasn't, made it his role. So now he's looking at Rabiot, who, that isn't really his game, but has a couple goals. And he's like, well, I'm going to put you here because you're all I got, right? So that's, I think that's why we see that. Now, I do wonder, Bentancur is not a goal scorer, right? But he gets into the box very well. Under Sarri, we saw that a lot, box to box. He makes really good runs. I wonder if when Arthur slides in, does that role become his a little bit more?
But again, if we're looking to advance one of our midfielders out of the starting points, it's got to be Loca. He's a goal threat to the other team, especially from range. Now Bentancur, yeah, I mean, he gets involved and whatnot, but the end product, McKennie against Torino got in the right spots a lot. He actually did great as far as getting where he needed to be and generating the opportunities. The problem was the execution. But Max even touched on this in the presser leading up to this game, and he said it was the first time McKennie was truly structured, because usually he runs around and it looks like a chicken with his head cut off, but it was actually structured and organized, and he was finding the right spaces and moments to get involved. Again, the scenarios didn't end up the way they needed to be, but yeah, McKennie's one that we know what he can do. He just it's about finding that, and I think Max knows that. But with Rabiot, I think we've seen quite a bit where it's just there's something missing there in that final third, man. I don't see him as being this guy that's gonna give you that. I'd have more faith in McKennie finding that for us than Rabiot. Would you guys agree? Felix, would you agree with that, or what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think Allegri's looking at Rabiot and thinking, hey, maybe this is the guy that probably does it better than the rest, but we don't have a player like that, and that's clear. We can try as much as we can, but I don't think it's going to work. I agree with you there, Al. But I've seen Luca disagreeing with a little bit of what's been said here, so I want to hear what he has to say.
Well, we got to let Luca in here. He's like ready to jump out that window, I feel like, behind him here. Let's go, man.
I want to hear.
There's a lot. Let's run through the list right now, because midfield wise, I have a lot to say, and there's a lot of guys who are going to disagree. Starting with Bentancur, I think this season he's still trying to figure out what he's meant to do. Now, Al, you said it. He'll get to the box, but that man doesn't shoot, can't hit the net, and when he does, it's on the goalkeeper every time. So he's not the end product. He can track back. So let's say if Locatelli or, like we have Arturo on there, he could be that defensive product, because we know that Bentancur can defend. He's going to get a yellow card at one point, but he can defend. Now, Arturo, yes, Lou touched on it. He's not a extremely talented midfielder. He's great on the ball. He's great at holding possession. And that's about it right now. We haven't seen much more. And I think with time that will develop. So what I want from Arturo is just to be able to take that pressure off Locatelli in terms of playing that dispersed role, not having to always be in the middle. I think Loca, if he can go up, we've all said it, can be a threat. Now on the left side, I actually think Rabiot can produce a lot of goals. We've seen in the past, he just sparks up and can score a banger like out of nowhere. But I also think McKennie could do the same thing. Right now, just a question of, pick your poison. If this game today, I would have put Bernardeschi there. But because we're short up front, I think Bernardeschi has to be more forward. And someone like McKennie should be on that left. Yes, okay, he's out of form and he's out of confidence, but how are we going to get that back if he sits the bench? Give him a go. If it doesn't work out, pull him. That's it. If Twitter wants to go off, fine. We don't have many other options today.
Yeah, I kind of wonder today. I mean, so we might, like you mentioned earlier, you might see that four-man across where it's Bernardeschi, Locatelli, Bentancur, and Cuadrado. And I wonder if Bernardeschi on that left side of midfield can make a little bit of a claim for his position there, because Bernardeschi probably gives you the most goals out of all of those people, right? And he's going to give you the work, right? It's whether he can play in the midfield or not. It's interesting because a lot of people I see on Twitter are like, we need to go 4-3-3, we need to do this. And it's like, well, you really only have Locatelli and a bunch of like square pegs that they're trying to fit in circles, I do disagree a little bit, Luca, on Bentancur. I think that the thing with Bentancur is I think that Max is utilizing him as a defensive box-to-box midfielder. I think like he's kind of like stabilized Bentancur, which has helped. I I think though the problem is it's like, are you asking Locatelli? Are you shortening Locatelli's game by asking him to play the deep line playmaker role, or are you doing that because that's the only guy that can do that? And I think that's the issue here. And I think as the season goes on, that's something they're gonna have to work with Arthur, McKinney and others. The rest of that crew, the 4 midfielders that aren't starting today, they really have to work through those kinks and figure out like what it is, what the best role is, like how do we get the best out of them. It's gonna be interesting to see because it's a huge hole in our team right now.
And the one thing, and that's a great point, is when you think about it, and we all agree we have to get Locatelli in support. The issue is he's also incredible defensively.
Mm-hmm.
And now all of a sudden, even if we agree that Artur could be the one to unlock him and help us get him there, Artur, we know, is not going to be the strongest defensively whatsoever, right? So it's a little bit of give and take that we're going to have to deal with. And honestly, we have to deal with it anyway. Even if all the guys are fit, there's a little bit of give and take there. And then when we get to our discussion earlier about potential targets, these are the types of things that run through your mind when you're looking at players coming in. Is like, fill these gaps, make it so that it's seamless throughout your lineup. And right now, we're just not at that point. We'll get there. I have faith. It's starting to get much, much better. Locatelli made a big difference, and there was a lot of people doubting the impact he could have, but he's been great since coming on and joining. And the defensive part of his game was barely, talked about. Mm-hmm. We know he can distribute the ball well and everything, but what he's doing defensively is huge in the middle of the park. Rabiot, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Lou has converted Anthony onto the Rabiot stinks train. So you've got 2 members now on that wagon. It probably pains Luca to read these
Cliff
things.
Also
he's been a Rabiot. Yeah, Luca's been protecting Rabiot a bit in the AJC group chat there, but it's all good. We all kind of had to get on Luca for Ramsey. Ramsey is a problem. And when we talk about Bernardeschi, here's another thing. When we want to really bring up problems, okay, and people have problems with 2.5 million to Bernardeschi.
Don't do it.
I remind you, start looking at some of these guys that are making a hell of a lot more money and what they contribute, as opposed to Bernardeschi at 2.5. So I think the biggest thing there is, again, you have a guy that had these big expectations. He didn't meet them, and that is frustrating, and I understand that. However, he's kind of turned himself into a different type of player, where now he's become this utility that can fill a void and is always fit and whatnot. And potentially could help Allegri if Allegri continues on with this role that we saw him play, in a couple of these other matches where he's a little more central and supporting strikers and whatnot. You never really know. But we do have some work to do. We'll see what happens. This match is going to be very, very intense. We have to attack early. Allegri hit this. Anthony mentioned it. He's got this highlighted as one of the things with Roma. They basically do not score in the first 20 of any game, and they do not concede for the last 20 of any game. You got to hit them hard. You got to hit them early. They have allowed 2 goals in 9 of their last 10 Serie A away matches. Okay. They've also scored 2 goals in 8 of their last 9 matches. So this is a team. I think there's going to be opportunities for Juve to punish Roma. We'll get chances to score. We got to make them pay. They're going to get opportunities. That's a given. They've got a lot of talent. The fact of how versatile their midfield is, really, with Veretout, Mkhitaryan, Zaniolo goes, Pellegrini, very, very versatile guys. Guys that can hit you from range and in tight. Abraham will be Chiellini's responsibility, and I'm 100% confident there, boys. But let's get to the goods here on predictions. Everybody loves prediction time, all right? We're going to go around the horn here. We're going to start off with halftime score. Anthony, get your pen ready, buddy. Book these down here as the prediction challenge begins. Halftime score. Felix.
I think it's going to be 1-1 at half.
1-1 at halftime. Okay. Lou.
1-0 Juventus at halftime.
Okay, Luca.
I'm going to do 1-0 Juventus.
I'm going to go 1-1 at the half. Okay. 1-1 at the half. Now, full-time score. Felix.
Sorry for this, but I think we're going to draw at 2.
Draw at 2?
Yeah.
Okay. Lou.
I'm going to inject some positivity here. We're going to win 2-0.
2-0 victory.
Yeah. We're going to see a defensive clinic from the professors, Chiellini and Bonucci.
I'm down with that. I'm down with that, Luca.
I'm going to agree with Lou here. I was thinking 2-0 as well. Yeah.
Wow. Clean sheet. I love it. Love it. Okay. I'm going to go with the I'm going to go with an absolute barn burner in the second half. 3-2 Juve finish. Okay. So 3-2 for Juventus. There will be goals. Goal scores. Let's go around. We'll kick it off with Luca.
For Juventus?
Yes, we want Juve's goal scores.
I'll give one to Chiesa.
2-0, so
yeah, I'll give one to Chiesa because that's a must. And give one to Cuadrado too.
oh, the assist man coming in with the goal. Very, very nice. Very nice. Okay, Lou.
We doing goal scores?
Goal scores.
Ooh, I'll do Chiesa and I'll do Chiellini. Give me a defender for a goal here today.
All right. Felix.
I'm going to go with Chiesa and Morata.
Chiesa and Morata. All right. I'm going go with a Chiesa brace. And one more will come. It's going to be somebody unlikely. You know, you might get a funny winner from maybe Bonucci on a header, whatnot. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do Chiesa brace, and I'll throw Bonucci in there. I like that.
I was gonna do Chiesa and Bonucci, but Anthony picked that, and I didn't want to jinx it.
Ooh, if Anthony picked it, I change. Chiesa might not even score today. Thanks for pointing that out. Yeah, no, I'll go different. Let's go Morata with 1. No, I'm kidding. Okay. Chiesa will get a brace, and I'll throw Bonucci in there for that one. Who's gonna get the first card? We don't need the exact player, but let's go team and what minute we think the first card will be. Felix.
You said team and the minutes.
Yeah, just the team and minutes. These are all our little tie-break predictions so that we can crown a champion to win absolutely nothing.
I think Roma would get the first one at the 30th minute.
Okay, there you go. Roma on the 30th. Lou?
I'm going Roma in the 25th minute. Mourinho's going to have them on the high here. They're going to go insane.
Not bad. Luca, what, man? So much anger and
I'm not angry. It's
disagreement over there.
I'm riled up, and these guys are taking like what I was gonna pick. I was gonna do 30, and I'm like, let me split it. Then he said 25, so now I'm gonna say
Felix and I are just here to ruin Luca's morning.
Yeah.
You guys are agreeing with me. We're all agreeing, so it's tough. But I was gonna say 30th, but let me change it up. Let's say Juventus in the 55th.
Juve in the 55th.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go with Roma in the 37th. Let's throw that out there. Roma, 37th minute will be first card. Let's go with offside. First team, what minute? Luca, you could start this one just so that you can calm down a bit.
Morata's not playing, so I'm going to say Roma in the
Morata
20.
might be, man.
He's not starting.
You don't know that.
I say Roma in the 22nd.
Roma, 22nd minute. Okay, Lou.
Well, hopefully you don't sass me for this, Luca, like you just did there. But I'm going to go Juventus in the 12th minute.
Juventus in the 12th minute. Felix.
I'm gonna go Juventus in the 7th minute.
Juventus in the 7th. I'm going to go with the first offside being around the 14th minute, and I say it's going to be Roma. Last one. Total shot attempts for Juventus and how many on target? Felix.
I'm gonna go with 12 total shots, 5 on target.
12 total, 5 on target. Lou.
We go even 10 on shots on goal or shots in general, and 4 on target.
Okay. Luca.
Yeah, 10 on goal. No, sorry, 10 shots, 3 on goal.
Oh, we're bagging 2 out of 3. Okay. All right. I like it. I'm going to go with 13 total, about 6 on target. So we'll have 50% shooting percentage by Alberto's calculations, which is great. Guys, we're going to finish up on a topic before we get into this one, and it's Dybala. And we talked about it earlier, how he obviously is not healing as intended. And now fans are extremely frustrated and getting more and more frustrated with Dybala. It's being reported now that Dybala could miss Zenit, Inter, and Sassuolo. And that all of a sudden his return could be on October 30th. Is it right to get frustrated with the player? Are the injury things? I mean, I don't really know at this point. I mean, I understand when you have a guy who's supposed to be the guy. And honestly, I thought he looked great this season. Like when he was playing, I mean, when he got injured, he was on a goal in that game and he was looking fantastic. Game changed when he left. But are we right to get start taking it out on this guy? And it's crazy that it happened because this contract extension that's looming over his head and whatnot, do things change? Has it changed where you stood before? Let's get everybody's thoughts on this, and we're going to kick it off with our special guest, Felix. The Dybala saga, and now this injury that's taken much, much longer for him to heal. How do you feel in terms of Dybala?
Well, I think it's an obvious, frustrating situation. But I think being frustrated to the player is a little unfair. I mean, he doesn't want to be injured. He's not causing it to himself. It is valid to be frustrated to the situation, not to the player, but that's where the fine line is at. I think fans don't know how to differentiate one thing from the other. Um, I mean, you have players like Ramsey. They are injured all the time, and they blame the team. I think that's a valid situation where you can actually be mad at the player and at the situation as well. As far as contract extension, this could be a major injury. It might not be. I really don't know. It's it's tough to answer that one because you really want him to do good. You really want him to be healthy. I think if he's healthy for the most part of the season, or the most part of his career, then I think it's a good investment because he's a good player. I mean, 8 million, 9 million. You see players worse than him in the Premier League earning a lot more than him. So if he's healthy, I think it's worth it. If he's not, which I can't tell if he's going to be or not, I mean, it's tough decision.
Yeah.
And regardless of what happens, if we end up paying for him and he continues to be an injury-prone player, then we're going to blame our direction. And it's tough, man, to make that decision, and it's tough to know what's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Lou, your thoughts on this?
This is it's tough because it's really frustrating to watch as a fan. I think that fans have a right to be a little frustrated because this has been a problem for a lot of the last couple of years for Paulo. I mean, last year, of course, major injury, COVID, never really could get back in. I understand that, but even in years prior, Paulo has had some injuries at kind of some bad moments, and I think that the problem is right now is after in the post Ronaldo era, right? Ronaldo leaves, it's done, and sorry to bring it up, but the next player is Dybala, right? That's your focal point because it's an easy transition, because that was the guy a couple years ago under Sarri, right? So then it's hard for the team because now you're relying on this player and you want to make him the focal point of your project, and he's just not there. He's having setbacks. It's overall, I think that there is a little overreaction because I think at the end of the day, Paulo's going to get that extension no matter what. It's basically agreed upon as reported. I mean, we've seen 18,000 of these reports, so who knows? But it looks like it's agreed upon. So he's going to get that extension. I just hope this isn't the start of maybe, him kind of ending up like a Marquisio where he ends up getting hurt, and then it blows up. I think that Dybala's talents, we've seen them. He's an incredible player, and he's a bonus to our team when he's fit. It's just that he's got to get fit. And I think part of this setback isn't necessarily, I mean, injury is part of it, right? His injury is probably worse than they thought, but I think part of this is Allegri and the staff looking at Dybala's history and saying, let's take our time here, So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough one for sure. I mean, yeah, it's frustrating. He's hurt and it's taken longer. One of the things people need to remember is that we're not always getting the right information when we're hearing, oh yeah, Paulo Dybala is going to be back next week. Well, is he? How do these people know? You know what I mean? There's only few, and it's everybody involved that actually know the status 100% and what's going on. So and it's no different than Paulo Dybala getting attacked for the contract negotiations when everybody gets a number that's massive and holds it against him. Well, I mean, that's part of negotiations. Number one, he's not going to go in there and come in with his lowest settling price. He's going to want high. But these rumors, again, was it ever that high? You don't actually know. So we're building our perception of a player off a lot of rumors, and it happens a lot and whatnot, but it's just part of the game. It's part of the game now because of social media and all this, and you're getting information from so many people and everybody wants to be first to break it, and a lot of people sadly don't actually care if what they're feeding you is garbage or not. So this is one of the frustrating parts about it. The other section is Paulo Dybala trained so much to get ready for this season. The fact that he gets hurt, I mean, it could be a byproduct of how intense his training regimen was through the offseason getting ready for this season. And now, obviously, I question, and this has been brought up a lot, I question Juve's amount of just muscular injuries in general, but just the amount of injuries we get. And we started to get more of a picture painted as far as our training regimen when Evra finally came out and just said, look, like of all the places I played, Juve's was so intense. And they have this method of you have to train or run, for instance, a set amount, and it doesn't change regardless of your playing minutes. And it's like you've got to do this amount in this week. I don't necessarily agree with that. And another thing is too that we don't know, is it a plug and play system regimen for all our players? Are we not honing in to the individuals themselves or targeting them as much? So there are some question marks when a team gets so many injuries. When I see Douglas Costa that cannot stay fit for Juve, but then returns to Bayern and actually made it through their section flawlessly for his cameos, the same amount of cameos he was making at Juve, I do start to kind of ask questions. But in terms of Dybala and the frustrations, injuries sadly are part of the game. I don't really get frustrated with him that it's taking longer. I'm frustrated with the situation. But from a contract standpoint and maybe the future, you do start to think about it when it mounts up. You do, sadly. It pains me to say, but you do. And I do agree with Lou, though. You got to extend it no matter what, even if you're going to move them, though, because you've got no time now because this has been going on for so long, right?
I do. I was kind of thinking about this. I wonder how Allegri has a little bit of blame here too, because Paulo, he needs to be managed, right? We know that he has an injury history, right? And he played almost every match, in the lead up to that injury. He's kind of not like Kelly, but you need to manage, you need to rotate these players. I think that's part of the problem is Juventus aren't really a deep team, so you have to rely on the same guys week in, week out, and the injuries are going to mount up when that happens. And I think the Dybala going forward, they really need to figure out, okay, we're going to use him here, but maybe in the midweek game we don't use him. They need to figure that part out.
Yeah, absolutely. Luca, you've been sitting waiting patiently. Let's get you to weigh in on this Dybala thing.
Well, Al, you actually touched on a lot of things I was going to bring up. First thing I want to mention is that Juventus didn't get Dybala with an injury history. He wasn't like Ramsey, right? No one knew he had these underlying issues. These issues came up with Juventus. So I think whatever happened with the club, you have to look at the club as well. And that's like you said, at one point you start going to question the staff itself. Yes, okay, you could question the player all you want, but put yourself in a professional player's position. You think he's, not stretching or before or after practice. You think he's being, unhealthy off the pitch. No, Paulo has become a mature professional now. I'm sure he's made some questionable personal decisions in his personal life, but that's nothing to do with his regimen. Like you saw, he trained his ass off this summer. So you can't get mad at him for trying to be in shape, Yes, okay, we're all frustrated. I understand that. But again, what are we basing ourselves off? The media? Like you said, Al, I mean, it was rumored that he was asking for 12, but now the number he's settling for apparently is 8 plus bonus. And when that came out, everyone shut their mouths, by the way, because 8 is reasonable, right?
Nobody said a thing, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And no one mentioned a thing. I was very content, and I said it. He's not going to go for 12, and that's just bargaining. Like you said, you're going to try to get the best. But in the end, I think they're going to just negotiate. That's fine. But what I see as a fan is him working his ass off, being very mature in the last year or two, especially with Ronaldo around. He's become a bigger player, especially now that he's our vice captain. And I believe that, yes, like Lou said, he's got to be managed a little bit more. There is a lot of demand on him. And yes, we know his body isn't what it used to be. So I think it comes down to ignoring a lot of what the media is saying and just going off what we see. Because, again, who actually knows the truth? Like a handful of people.
Yeah, right? It should be noted, too, that Paulo asked to train with the squad on Friday and was kept back by the medical staff. So that should be noted as well, right? But it's an interesting scenario. We get, again, all this information and it goes back and forth and you just take it all in, and sometimes you get reactionary, emotional, and it starts to sway your view on a particular player. But it is what it is. We'll see what happens. Can't wait to get him back because for me, he makes a big, big impact on this team. The latest probable lineup as we wrap up: Szczesny, Danilo, Bonucci, Chiellini, De Sciglio, Quadrado, Bentancur, Locatelli, Bernardeschi with Chiesa and Keane up top. This is the latest before we sign off. It's kind of what we thought was going to be that probable lineup. Morata will probably get some minutes second half, whatnot, but we'll see. You never know with Allegri. It could change. Our last prediction as we sign off that we didn't get to was our way too early man of the match. Who do we think is going to be the man of the match for Juve? Way too early prediction. We're going to kick this one off with Felix. Who do you think is going to be the man of the match for Juve in this one?
I'm gonna go with Federico Chiesa.
Federico Chiesa. Lou.
It's going to be Bonucci or Chiellini. One of the two.
There you go. There you go, Luca. Oh, did he steal yours? Come
Oh,
on,
shit.
man.
I'm gonna do Chiellini because it's Roma. They push high, and like Lou said, we're gonna see a defensive masterclass today. So I'm expecting Chiellini.
So for me, Pinsolio, when we get that 3-2 winner that I called, Pinsolio's reaction is going to give him man of the match. No, I think so. With a couple tendencies Roma does have at the back and how hard they push forward, I think a guy like Quadrado could end up being the man of the match in this one and really punish them. And I'm going to actually throw Quadrado out there for a man of the match in this one. Don't let me down, Juan. All right, let's do the damn thing. I had a lot of fun today. Felix, it was an absolute pleasure having you on, joining us. We will do it again for sure. Luca, we'll try and get you at the head of the rotations moving forward so that you can calm down. You're way too close to that window for comfort. I don't want to see anything happen.
I appreciate it.
Lou is rocking a very, very nice kit. And you could share the reason why you went with this one. It's got Bonucci on the back.
Yeah, it's we've done this before on the show, but this is my favorite goal of the last decade is Bonucci's volley in this fixture. It's this shirt from 14-15. 3-2 match. Remember, Roma was like neck and neck with us in the Scudetto race. Like that was it. It was like that was the big game. And Bonucci running away from goal hits a volley that
He had no business hitting that.
Yeah, no business hitting that.
Yeah. 15-16, by the way.
Yeah.
15-16.
No, I think it's
That's
14.
the 15-16 kit you're wearing.
15-16.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I thought it was 14. You're right.
I don't think you want to get into that one with me.
No, I'm saying that you're right. You're right.
But no, guys, that's an awesome moment. I love that goal. Let's go quick with Felix and Luca on your favorite moments that stand out to you from Juve versus Roma. Felix, do you have one that sticks out with you and just remains in your memory?
Not a particular one, but just finishing up first, top of Roma every time.
Yeah. There you go. Luca, particular moment? A lot of nice goals, man.
There's a lot of good ones.
Remember that free kick Pirlo dropped like on the carpet that just went around and the goalie was like so like frozen?
There's so many good ones. Only because I saw it recently and I forgot how good it was the Higuain one where he just shoves off De Rossi and like just whams it on the net. Like that one was, I freaked out in that game.
That was so bittersweet because I love De Rossi, but man, Higuain just made him look like a child in that one.
Hey, how about Barzali's run for the Juventus goal?
Yes.
Yeah. Every time that comes up on the timeline, every like couple of months, it still shocks me.
That was his like defining moment of his career.
Yeah,
that was tops, man. That was tops. Barzagli was just a beauty, man, and I loved watching him train and just have fun with all the guys on the team and whatnot. That guy was an absolute beauty. But yeah. Well, RB Comps, what's he throwing out here? Alberto comes onto the pitch, 95th minute, scores overhead kick from his own box to make it 1-0, takes off the tarp and goes to hug Pinsolio. That is an epic moment.
Nobody wants to see that, to be honest.
Nobody wants to see that. Exactly.
Okay, well, yeah, COVID might have hit me hard, boys. I'll get back in shape. Don't worry. Okay, guys, it's been a blast. I hope you all enjoy the match. It's 6:45 a.m. where I'm at. The match will take place in 5 hours from now to kick off. And we all predicted, we got a draw in here, but the rest of us feel pretty confident we'll get a victory. It's going to be hard-fought match. We got Allegri and Mourinho, which will be entertaining as well. And I think that's a part of the reason why there's a lot of guessing game with our lineup is a little bit of the Allegri and Mourinho back and forth. This is going to be a big one. We saw what happened yesterday. There's a big opportunity for Juve to climb a bit further and continue to put some pressure on everybody at top. Big match. And then, of course, we'll have Champions League midweek. Join us tomorrow morning. Same time, 5:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for the post-match podcast, and hopefully we have a victory to celebrate. As always, Forza Juve, fino alla fine. Ciao.